how to get what you want in life. How to get what you want in life. That is what we're going to talk about today. But, first, please send me your validation so that I can inhale it into my nostrils and down to the depths of my soul. Send said validation by subscribing to the YouTube channel. Hit the little notification bell. The notification bell is very important. Click it right now. All other platforms. Please like, comment, subscribe, heart emoji, share with your friends. Tell everyone you know about the content so they can get what they want in life, which is the subject of today's video. Charlie Munger, perhaps the smartest person to ever exist on planet Earth, one of my favorite people to learn from. He has a quote that says, to get what you want, you have to deserve what you want. The world is not crazy enough to reward a bunch of undeserving people. You will never get what you want in life until you feel like you deserve what you want. Until you feel a sense of entitlement that you deserve certain outcomes, you'll never get them. And the funny thing about it is that you have to do the underlying work to first convince yourself that you are worthy of having more. I always talk about how to create these feedback loops in your mind, these reference experiences that teach you how to be a winner, that help you form the identity of a winner. So why do most people not get what they want in life? It's because at a deep subconscious level, they don't think that they deserve it. Now, take something like money. Money is not the end all be all of the world, of society. But why do most people not have money? It's not because they can't get money. It's not because they don't have the talent to get money. It's not because they don't have the skills to get money. It's not even because they don't have opportunity or access to get money. It's counterintuitive, but money is everywhere you look once you understand how it works. Most people don't make money because they don't believe they are worthy of money. That sounds very elitist, egotistical, and crazy for me to say if you haven't learned the concept that I'm about to tell you. But if you have a mental cap in your mind and you have a belief system about yourself, about your skill level, about the price of your skill level, about the worth of your skill level, you're never going to be able to make more money. It's all an issue of identity, and you reframe that identity by building reference experiences that'll teach you that you are more deserving. So take myself, for example. When I first started writing, I didn't feel like I was worthy of getting money for my writing services, so nobody was going to pay me. I eventually leveled my way up, and as I started to practice more, I was like, okay, maybe I could make some money off of this, right? So I started writing articles for $15 an hour. In my mind, that was a fair trade for me because $15 an hour, that was a wage that it was equivalent to what I was making at my job at the time. So that was where my mental cap was. I was like, okay, I can do this as a writer. Let me get my $15. So that's where my mindset was, right? Then I leveled up more. I wrote a book and I started to make scalable income. People around the world were buying my book without my additional effort after writing the book. I'm like, oh, okay, there's money starting to come in. I was coaching people. After a couple years of being a writer, I started to coach people on how to build audiences of their own. And I charged what I felt my skills were worth at the time, which, looking back now, I didn't charge nearly enough, even based on the skill set I had then, but I charged what I thought I deserved to make. And as time went on, as my skills got better and better and better, and I kept getting more feedback from the world that my skills were valuable, I kept getting more feedback in terms of monetary, in terms of dollars, that my skills are valuable, and I feel entitled to much more now. After 5 years of working on my craft as a writer, I often turn down projects because the money is not good. The money is not there. It's not where I need it to be. And it's not out of arrogance. It's from literally looking mathematically at the amount of money I'm able to produce, doing what I do at a certain output level. And if the offer is below that and the opportunity cost just isn't there, it doesn't make any sense for me to do it. So after putting in the work, I now feel entitled to have money. After building the skill set, I genuinely feel like I deserve better. So then I get better. To get what you want in life, you have to deserve what you want in life. The world is not yet crazy enough to reward a bunch of undeserving people. This is why I always tell you to work on yourself. It seems like some weird hokey magic that all these self-improvement gurus are kind of telling you. I remember I was listening to Jim Rohn, one of the OG self-improvement gurus, and he was like, if you work at a job, you can make a living, but if you work on yourself, you can make a fortune. And at the time I was like, Jim, what are you talking about? What do you mean work on myself? What do you mean read a bunch of books, find a skill, practice? Like, what is this going to do for me, Jim? Like, I was like, all right, whatever. I didn't like my life at the time, though, so I was like, all right, Jim, I'm going to work on myself. So I did all the things. I read books. I learned about psychology. I learned about persuasion. I learned about money. I read books on investing. I read books on business. I read books on social skills, how to win friends and influence people. I read books on evolutionary psychology and the way that human minds work. I read on biology. I read The Selfish Gene and Origin of Species. I was learning all this seemingly disparate information, which Charlie Munger talks about. He says you want to build a lattice work of mental models. What he means by that is you want to create interdisciplinary knowledge. You want to know a college freshman level about basically everything. So what happens when you learn a college freshman level of knowledge on basically everything? You have all of these mental models in your mind that you can apply to different situations. Most people suffer from something called domain dependence, which is something that another one of my favorite thinkers, Nassim Taleb, talks about. Domain dependence is the fact that most people only specialize in one domain and they're not even very good at that, so they can't apply their thinking to other areas. If you want to make money, if you want to get what you want in life, you're going to have to know about a lot of different skills, techniques, and talents. And then you have, kind of your core competency that you focus on. There's something called being T-shaped. You want to learn how to be T-shaped to get what you want in life. So T-shaped means, like for me, the middle pillar of my T is writing and communication, right? So I know how to write, I know how to communicate, public speaking, being on video. That's kind of my main wheelhouse. So I spend 80% of my time building the pillar of that T. But then the top of that T is that lattice work of mental models. It's that interdisciplinary knowledge, knowing a little bit about a lot of different things. So then I can funnel those disparate pieces of information into my T. Why do you think my writing and video is so compelling? A lot of people have made the comment, they're like, Ayo, you seem to quickly dump a lot of information into your videos without thinking much about it. I don't script any of my videos, yet I can bounce from economics to persuasion to psychology to marketing to human nature, social skills, psychology, evolution, biology quickly. Why? Because I've spent time honing my T. I've spent time, I just ingest tons and tons and tons of information, and I don't even know necessarily what I'm going to do with it, but then there just come situations where I'm able to apply that information. So the more that you become a student, the more valuable you'll become in life, the more deserving of success you'll become in life, and then good things will start to happen. People will just get a sense that you are someone who works on themselves, and it'll stick out like a sore thumb. Most people do not work on themselves at all. How many people read more than one book in a year? Honestly, I highly doubt that more than 10% of the population does this. How many people spend a half hour of extracurricular time on top of their jobs, not even building the tea, not even gaining disparate knowledge? How many people elect to take the supplemental extracurricular education in their own fields? Little to none, right? So we go through the education system and we're just beaten into submission, curiosity quashed, and we begin to equate learning with pain. The type of learning we came up with school is not the type of learning we like. Rote memorization, carrot and stick mentality, carrot being the grade, stick being the failure, not getting into the right school, not living up to your parents' standards, disappointing your teachers, not keeping up with your peers. Carrot and stick mentality as opposed to the curiosity mentality. To get what you deserve in life, to get what you want in life, you have to regain that curiosity. I hated school. I was a terrible student. I did not do well in school at all. I dropped out of college. I had a 0.0 GPA in one semester in college and didn't even have enough sense to drop out. I tuned out in class. I found class to be incredibly boring. I didn't understand why I was being taught this way. But the minute I started to form my own self-education, it's like I can't keep my eyes off of books. I can't stop listening to audiobooks. I can't stop watching YouTube videos. I'm insanely curious about so many different things. And the more that I learn, the more that I become valuable. And the more knowledge I have, the more I feel like I'm entitled to having success in life. And it's funny, like the concept of believing in yourself, it's very true and cliche at the same time. Like, oh, just believe in yourself. Believe it and you can achieve it. On the surface, it's very trite and it's a platitude. But it's also one of the truest statements ever. And once you kind of go beyond the tip of that iceberg of what it means to believe in yourself, understanding that it's rooted in knowledge, that it's rooted in practice, that it's rooted in investing in yourself, in building your own education, then you can come to believe in yourself. You would be surprised what somebody with quote unquote an average IQ, an average intelligent level, but an insane level of work ethic and an insatiable curiosity can do in life. You know, I've been watching a lot of different videos by investors. I'm very curious about investing, a new kind of mental model and circle of competence I'm looking to build. So I've been watching interviews from investors. Ray Dalio, owner of Bridgewater Capital, the 56th richest man in the world, person in the world. He went to like a regular college. He got C's in class. He's not particularly, a type A student. He's a very intelligent guy, but he was very curious. So he would just learn and test and iterate information. He started, learning about the stock market at a very young age. He would caddy at golf courses and he would work for all these kind of rich and wealthy investors, and he would just like pester them and ask them a bunch of questions about stocks. And they're like, what? They're like, kid, why are you asking me all these questions? It was weird for them. It was weird to have someone be curious and want to know more. You are weird if you want to know more about life. You are weird if you are curious about leveling up and escaping the matrix. Most people just want to live in the matrix. They don't even see anything beyond the matrix. They just accept their lot in life. And it's very, again, it comes off as very arrogant to say that most people's problems are psychological. Like there are some people who are impoverished that have real tangible issues. But even again, those tangible issues get reinforced psychologically. Like technically, someone in an impoverished situation could lift themselves up by the bootstraps, but it's very difficult for them to do that. Why? Not only are they dealing with the tangible circumstantial forces, but those tangible forces create psychological feedback loops to where their whole mental makeup is limited by nature of the things that they were taught and the feedback they've gotten from their environment. So they're doubly negatively impacted by that. And that's a very tough problem to solve. And that is not something I will admit to having the answer to. But for what I will say for most of us, for working class folks, middle class folks, people who didn't grow up in completely dire straits, we have no excuses. I grew up middle class. I had no excuses. If you are middle class, if you went to college, if you were not destitute, you do not have any excuses. Do not talk about being oppressed if you're middle class. Don't even talk about being oppressed unless you're like really below the poverty threshold. You can get what you want in life, but you have to deserve what you want, and you have to start rethinking the narratives you've been told. Money is evil. If you think money is evil, it's going to run away from you. Money does not like people who do not like it. It's going to run away from you. People who are successful are evil. They're just status hungry, greedy. All right, success is going to run away from you. Quit identifying with being normal. People love identifying with being the common person. People love identifying with being average, middle class, middle tier. There's nothing inherently wrong with being middle tier, but at the same time, there's nothing more honorable about it than being upper tier. See, a lot of people in the middle tier, middle class, they create sort of a martyr complex. They pat themselves on the back for dealing with their own mediocrity, which just seems illogical to me. If you want to get what you want from this life, you can have it, but you're never going to have it until you feel like you can deserve it, and you're never going to feel like you deserve it until you build the groundwork. You have to feel entitled to what you want, and the funny thing is, like, take some like super power hungry sociopathic leaders who their brain is just wired for them to automatically believe it. Yeah, they can go get it. It's because they're psychos. They just have an entitlement instantly, which is why they're able to come to power so quickly. But if you're a normal person like me, if you're not a psychopath, if you're not a charming, charismatic, sociopathic type A driven leader by default, you're going to have to work on developing these feelings because it's really hard to cultivate them from thin air. I talk about this all the time. I wish ideas like the self-care movement, Eastern philosophy where you could just think your way into happiness, from a pragmatic perspective, it just seems like those are very difficult routes to try to just conjure up those feelings without any evidence. So to get what you want in life, you have to start to build evidence. You send subconscious signals to your brain that you are a winner. This creates a self-reinforcing mechanism in your mind, a self-fulfilling prophecy where you become more successful over time. And it's very true, the idea of the Matthew principle. So the Matthew principle comes from the Bible, and Matthew basically says, if you are rich, if you are wealthy, you will continue to have more wealth and abundance. If you are poor and you lack means, your means will continue to be taken from you. You've noticed the less successful you are, the more you're penalized for it. You're broke, you get overcharge fees. You get hit with predatory loans, stuck in debt you can't get out of. You're rich, you can jump through tax loopholes, make more money, make more money, invest, real estate, all this stuff, right? So I look at success from a very pragmatic standpoint. I don't necessarily even want to be successful because being successful is so awesome. I don't want to be unsuccessful because there's a continuing negative downward spiral that occurs from being unsuccessful. It just continues to get worse. The gaps are widening. I made a video about this. Not only are the wealth gaps dividing, but the mindset gaps, the psychological gaps are dividing. We're veering into extreme optimism and extreme pessimism along with the wealth gap. So you want to become someone who veers towards extreme optimism and works to get what they want from life. You can get what you want from life, but you have to do the work to create the psychological framework that helps you feel entitled to those outcomes. Okay! Real help. That is the name of the book. This is the book that will help you do the work so that you feel entitled to become successful. Scroll down and check out all the links below. Check out the links to social media. especially my Instagram where I share behind the scenes footage on how I do the work day in and day out. All platforms, I'm grateful for you watching this video. Please use the sharing and engagement mechanisms that this platform provides. I will see you on the next video.